Welcome everybody. I'm Emma and this is John.
Morning.
So what we're going to do this morning is we're just going to go through a little bit about Sarah's work. I think you all know Sarah McCrum. We're going to talk a little bit about how we came to know her work, what impact it's had on us individually, and what our relationship with money has been historically, but only very lightly on that. We're much more about what it's becoming. I'm going to read a little bit from Sarah's book, and I'm going to close with a rather beautiful prayer. And we will have little breakout groups where we can just discuss our relationship with money with one another. So before we really get going, we're just going to come into the space, all six of us together. So just closing your eyes. And just feeling your energy drop away from your brain especially. Bring it out of the brain. Let it fall down through your face, your mouth, your teeth, your tongue, down through your neck and your throat chakra, past your heart and your lungs and your ribs. Just feeling that energy dropping down through your digestive system, through your liver and your kidneys, and dropping down through your reproductive organs and into the base of the pelvic bowl where you can feel your perineum and feel that sense of groundedness. And from your perineum and your sit bones and your feet, I want you to imagine you have roots that are extending down through the floor that you're on, into the foundations of the building that you're in, through the earth's crust, and down through the layers of the earth. Keep dropping them down. And just losing anything that you don't need. And let Mother Earth take it away from you. Let her transform and transmute anything that doesn't serve you. And as your roots get closer and closer to the core of the earth, start to feel the heat. Start to feel that powerhouse of energy. And we're going to take those roots and we're going to wrap them around the core of the earth. And then we're going to invite the energy of Mother Earth to come up through our roots, just softly bringing it up through those layers of the earth, up towards your feet and your sit bones and your perineum, and just bringing that energy into your body, bringing it up through your pelvic bowl, through your sacral chakra, your solar plexus, through your rib cage and up into your heart. And just feeling that earth energy in your heart. Start to gently open your heart space. And then bringing your attention up to your crown chakra. And just gently opening up. We have 4 plates on our skull. The fontanelle in the baby is just gently feel yourself opening up that space energetically. And see that 1,000-petaled lotus flower hovering gently above your crown chakra, and every single one of those petals is receiving energy from the universe, from beyond our wildest imaginings, the unlimited potential of the universe. Just inviting it in. And it comes through your crown, across your forehead, washing through your brain, bringing new, clean, bright energy through your brain, through your eyes and your nose and your mouth, your teeth, your tongue, your jaw, your neck, your throat chakra, across your shoulders, across your sternum and into your heart. And letting that energy swirl and mix with your heart and with the earth. That big mix of beautiful energy. And just taking a few deep breaths into that heart space. Open your heart to love for yourself, to love for your fellow beings, to all life on the planet, and to love for the planet. And throughout the session, we're just going to hold that sense of openness and that loving energy between us all. So when you're ready, you can just softly open your eyes and we'll come back together. Okay, so John, do you want to start to talk a little bit about your relationship with money, where it's been over the years and where it's headed?
For me, what I would say is I have had a fairly average fear-based reality with money for most of my 48 years on the planet. Some It's funny, isn't it? My mind's just drawn back to that great Catholic token, the Infant of Prague. That I don't know if anyone who's got any kind of Catholic background knows all about it. It was a wedding day gift that was given us with two promises that is a Catholic thing. When I went to Prague, I was convinced everyone in Prague would know all about it, and no one in Prague knows all about it, but they're all over Ireland. These little statues that they give you, which they promise you sunshine on your wedding day. It's a wedding day gift. And then after that, you're always promised that you'll never be rich, but you'll never not have enough. And that's this little thing that lives there. And yeah, mine is smashed up, I'm afraid to say. and after my wedding fell apart and I got into some very fear-based, and my marriage fell apart, I got into a lot of I had quite a successful business. It was doing reasonably well, but it was always me exerting my will over everyone and everything. And without going into what happened, cutting to kind of the end of last year, I hadn't worked for quite a few years. I had gone through a whole series of disastrous scenarios and situations where people had really used my willingness to help others, and as a way of bolstering my own ego, as a tool to really delude and confuse me and take advantage of me. And I'd gone into a whole series of absolute madnesses that had ended in rehab and all sorts of things. So yeah, coming back to the beginning of the lockdown, I met up with Emma at the end of last year. One of the first things she did was gave me Sarah's book, which I kind of looked at as interesting but improbable. And then at the beginning of lockdown, we started getting into the Be the Solution sessions and it became incredibly clear that there was a deep message underneath all of this, which spoke to a unified truth that every kind of spiritual healing that I'd ever looked at, that it brought together all of these teachings and these ideas, and it was fundamentally very simple, that there was an art to releasing the idea of fear from money. I mean, you know, and I'm going to be honest, I haven't completely got this today, but what I can see is where I employ that, where I use that, where I see that it's about keeping my side of the street clean, if you like, paying my commitments, repaying the debts I owe, sorting out my tax affairs, that suddenly, as soon as that's done, I'm starting to enjoy some wonderful benefits. I'm back in work, I'm back in consulting, I'm earning a good daily rate. I'm not ending the month working out how to survive the last week with a few pennies, which was a regular thing over the last few years. Ever since I've really started putting these principles, and even more so since beginning this Thank You Money course, you know, actually following the relaxations program. I'm about where am I into it? About halfway through the first month at the moment. It's really helping. You know, I've kind of swapped news websites for the course and the relaxations. Whenever I've got that irritability or discontent, you know, I can go back to this course material, and I've managed to finish every day with my work commitments done. I've been able to plan for a very positive future by constantly trying to bring where I want to be closer to where I am now, and seeing that, you know, enacting all of my transactions with love. I'm being taken care of, I'm being provided for, and slowly, as it promised me right at the beginning, we're able to move from worry to love with the help of this program and this course. And I think that brings me right up to now. I hope so.
Thanks, John. Okay, I'm going to go next. So my relationship with money has always been associated with the men in my life. My dad earned a decent wage. My dad very much worked to live. He could have been really successful, but he loved playing music and other things. And so he would do his day job, and he was an IT consultant when IT was quite a new thing. So he was, yeah. And then I had a boyfriend when I was 15 to 22, and he was working. He was a graphic designer. We lived together for 3 years. And actually, when I think back on it, I actually did all the budgeting. He brought the money in, but I budgeted and used to kind of give him his pocket money, which was quite funny. So I obviously did have quite a consciousness around money. I used to keep a little book, and I knew exactly what I had in my bank account at any given time. And then I had 7 years where I was actually earning my own money. I was working in catering, and I was really good at it, and I worked so bloody hard. I never had any time to spend any money, so it was probably quite a wealthy patch. And then I met my husband, and I was working all the time, and I didn't want to work anymore, so I went and got a very well paid job in a bank. It was massively boring. And then I had my kids, and then I stayed home, and I looked up. But actually, again, when I met my husband, he was in the red, really badly in the red. And I moved in with him, and I started paying him rent, and I just did a bit of tweaking around his finances. And I haven't really given myself credit for that. It's only in the last few months that I've thought, I actually got most of these men back on track financially. So, but I've always got enough, but it's never been hugely abundant. And I do find myself almost embarrassed. I still have a lot of fear around saying, yeah, I really want to renovate my house really nicely. I do want £150,000 to renovate my house. So I guess I split up with my husband, and then he decided he was going to retire, and the money, I'd always had plenty of money, and then it was like, oh shit. Suddenly my money was going down by 75%. So I had to rush out and get a job, which I hadn't done for a long time. I'd worked from home, baking cakes, really little, but on my own terms, always on my own terms. And I think what I'm really realizing about my desire for money is I like I like my own freedom, and I like to control my life. And I'm worth an awful lot more than that. And I am beginning to really sort of feel like, there's a value when we give something, when we give out something of ourselves, we leave an energetic vacuum. And I'm very passionate. I've done Reiki and massage, and whenever I've done any of those holistic healing works, I've always found people are really happy to take it for free, but they're quite reluctant to pay for it. And so my big thing, which is very aligned with Sarah's work, is to bring money into the healing arts and to really enable us healers to accept it and to not have that kind of contraction, that spiritual, oh gosh, I couldn't possibly be spiritual and wealthy. Because I actually think there's a lot of money in quite dark places in the world. And yet there are light workers and healers who can barely feed themselves. So before we all do our own stories, I just would like to read to you. And I've decided that because I have a posh English accent like Sarah, I'm allowed to read her the first chapter of her book, which is Love Money, Money Loves You. I don't know, Hella, have you ever encountered this book at all? So I'll tell you a little bit about it. Sarah McCrum, the author, she was running a business back in the 80s and it went under in the recession. And she was sitting reading a book. What was it called? Anybody? The book, How to Become a Money Magnet, I think it was. And there was a question, there were little exercises, and one of them, at the end of each chapter, one of them said, if money could speak to you, what would it say? Words to that effect. And Sarah started to write. And then she realized that her pen was actually writing itself. And she sort of looked up half an hour later and she'd written 3 pages that she believes was a channeling. And then she went back day after day and it just kept channeling. And it was the energy of money that was channeling to her. And the product of it is this book. On Sarah's website, you can see an awful lot more about it. But if you all it'd be nice, I think, maybe to just close your eyes and just really feel the energy of money as I read what money said to Sarah that day. What money would like to say to you. I would like to tell you to love me, smile at me, collect me, enjoy me, feel my power, spend me, invest me, give me, pay with me, take me. I am an energy. I am very powerful and beautiful. I am an incredible web of connections. I am light. I am not dirty. You are too afraid of me as you are of many things. You can open up and embrace me fully into your life. It is not too late. You can start now. Just open yourself and say yes. Be brave. Love me. Love yourself so you can accept my power, my glory, my light, my beauty. I am not the devil. I never have been. I am a glorious being of light. I connect human beings with each other. I am so flexible, you can use me to channel your creativity. Just go ahead. I am waiting for you. You must open your heart. You're too rigid, too afraid, and there is nothing to be afraid of. You will win, not only me, but life also. I am always here to help you. Just accept me, and I will come to you very quickly. There is a lot of me waiting for you. You have chosen to have more. Don't wait. Just take me. I will love you. Who would like to go? Anybody got a little pumping heart that's saying they want to speak? I might pick on you then, Susan.
I was just about to
Were
go
you?
for mine.
I thought your hands were beginning to move.
So what is my, well, I mean, I've been on a sort of journey of developing my relationship with money for a couple of years now. And it really started, I mean, I've been aware for a lot of my life that I have a particular relationship with money, and I just thought that was it, that was how you related to money, that it's something that you work hard to get, and when you get it you want to hold on to it, and when you give it away you have to really think quite hard about, you know, what you're spending it on. So that was definitely a story I had, and I didn't realize it was a story. I just thought that's the way you relate to money. But I started to feel that was really restrictive, and I don't know when that was, but I just had this awareness that my relationship with money wasn't particularly helpful. Probably it was when I became self-employed, which is almost 14 years ago. So naturally the relationship with money changes, because you're not just getting a monthly salary that comes into your bank account. You don't think very much about it. But I think the key turning point was when somebody recommended Sarah's book to me, and I read the book and didn't understand it, and I now know that's because I was trying to understand it with my head, and if you try and do that then it's frustrating and you don't get very far. But there was something about it just resonated with me or intrigued me, or I don't really know what word, but it was enough that I then went onto her website, saw that she was doing a course on consciousness of money, and I did the sort of first iteration of the course, and I started to just feel something shifting, and I suppose what I've experienced in the last couple of years is I've had insights into what it's like to have a different relationship with money. I really, really believe that money is not the tangible notes and coins that we're led to believe it is. I mean, I really just believe that now. And I have insights of where, when I relax around money, I think that's the key thing for me, is Sarah's activations and relaxations have been the real practical, tangible thing that's made the difference for me. So I now do one every day, pretty much every day. And just that thing of relaxing, and I've meditated for years, but the whole thing about relaxing kind of really changed things for me, and in my meditation practice as well. So I think the thing for me where I am now is I can see and I can feel that there's a different relationship with money to be had, and my relationship is changing. I still get caught up in my old story. I still get caught up in that feeling of I have to work hard to earn money, but that is definitely changing almost on a daily basis. So I'm much more relaxed about it, and as a result money has been coming into my life in different ways, sometimes really small amounts, sometimes bigger amounts, but it almost feels like a really, if I see it as a kind of curious game, that helps me to kind of relax into it. It's like, oh, I wonder where it might show up next. So I just don't take it quite so seriously as I did. And at the same time, I'm also really serious about continuing to develop my relationship with money. So it's a kind of different seriousness, and it's maybe not the right word. But one thing that I've done some one-to-one work with Sarah, and one thing that came out of that for me, many things came out, but one thing that came out was about allowing money in. And I have seen where I've, on one hand, wanted more money, but on the other hand, there was a fear there about receiving money, and I've noticed that I've kind of blocked it a little bit, well, a lot actually. And I think the thing for me is I would like more money in my life, but I now understand why. It's not to accumulate it and hold it. It's because of how that money can then flow through me to other people. And that makes it much easier for me to say, yeah, bring it on. Bring on all the money. Bring on thousands, millions, whatever it's going to be, because it's not about me keeping it, which I think was where the block was for me. So it's a fascinating journey. I think it's a journey I'll be on for the rest of the time that this body's on this planet. But I just know that the whole approach and the things I have learned and continue to learn through consciousness and money are the path for me. It's definitely the way to keep going. So yeah, that's me.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Does anybody else? You know I'll pick on you if you don't go. I know both Tim and Gail have had quite interesting journeys. And Hella, I'll leave you to volunteer. I won't pick on you, but I would love to hear. But I'd love to hear your story at any point.
Okay, hello everybody. I'm really glad I can participate in this meeting. It's my first time, obviously, connecting with you. And so right now I'm just like, I feel like I'm floating and exploring different energies. Right now, when I was listening to the previous speaker, I wanted to feel some money in my hands. I've always been afraid of scarcity, like getting like not having enough. But now I don't know. I just much rather listen to you guys and just keep myself open and receptive.
So Tim or Gail in that, or Peter if you're feeling it. I know you're more of a whoever. Go.
Hello everyone. Hello, Hella. My relationship with money is changing rather dramatically. So I think in the past, it's not been about fear of having more than enough. That's never been an issue. But coming from a position of lack has been a constant, actually. And I think it comes from the times when my parents, when I was very little, were very poor. They didn't have much money. I remember there was one incident, they had £50 left in their pocket and they bought a climbing frame for the kids so that we could be outside in the garden. And I didn't have an understanding of the concept at the time. I remember when I was quite young and I'd had collected all these little pennies in bags and they were really irritating me. So I threw them out the window and my dad went balmy. They were little tiny little pennies. He went balmy and he made me go outside and pick up every single one that I'd thrown out into the garden. So that's sort of, I guess, my formative years. And then when I was a student, and then I got my first job, and I was on £10,000 a year, you know, for this first job or whatever it was. And so I remember in those days you could get cash back £20 and it wouldn't register on your overdraft. So you'd get your £20 knowing you were a bit naughty, and then walking past it was Lloyds Bank. There was a Lloyds Bank near where I used to live, and I used to go the long way around so I wouldn't see this Lloyds Bank because I'd taken 20 quid out and I know that I was going to get a letter from them in the next 2 or 3 days. So it comes from, I think that sense of lack has always been there, and it's been a fear of lack which perhaps has driven me to set my own businesses, and rather than be paid by somebody else. So the last 20 years, I guess, up until very recently, I earned every penny myself. I hired staff, we trained people, we put them into work, got a nice little business. And then COVID happened and I lost everything really financially. My income was gone, the business was gone, and suddenly I'm not earning. I mean, that's about to change, but it's funny because I've had to face my fear of actually not generating, and not having that income in. Yeah, I've always had faith that I'll survive in pretty much most things, and that's continued even with this current situation. You know, I'm lucky. I have a partner who earns enough to keep a roof over her head, keep the food on the table. So I'm all right. But actually, the worst that's happened is I'm okay when it comes to the relationship with money. And so it's almost like, well, the thing that I'm afraid of, I'm okay. So I can only build on that now. and it was only in the last few days that I felt ready to start looking at the energy of money again, the consciousness of money, because I'd lost touch. I had other priorities in my head at that time, and you know, whilst I was safe, I needed to sort of regroup. I'd had a bereavement, of course, as well during that period. So it was all a combination of elements that meant, okay, yeah, money can wait a little bit, because I don't. And it's funny, within the space of a week of me starting to go back up, step up to it, and start seeing, you know, like, okay, where am I at with all of this, and making sure I've been doing activations. Sarah McCrum does activations daily for, I don't know, every day without a break for at least 4 or 5 months now. And I think that's obviously had some element of just keeping me grounded on some level. So I'm kind of, I've hit the bottom when it comes to not having money. So I, you know, apart from touch wood, as long as that's safe. And so what am I afraid of? And that's where I'm at with it. I'm counting my blessings, don't get me wrong. I'm not cocky about it at all. But I am extremely grateful that the money is still there to make sure that I'm well and safe. And now I've got the opportunity to be creative and start again, and hopefully, and I'd like to believe actually the fear's gone, because it's happened. I mean, it's happened. It's like the thing that I was afraid of has come along and hit me in the face, and now it's about, right, okay, let's regroup on this. What I have also learned though is how currently I do define myself, how I do define myself some element of having money in some degree. I'm quite clear that there's a sort of, I don't know if it's egoic or whether it's just a thing that's, there's a part of me that's like, no, you need to have a certain level of income and then you're okay. I don't know if it's a driving force, don't know. I'm quite happy for it to be a driving force, because it's one of the things that pushes me to get things done. So that's where I am. So I'm relearning it really, but in a very different environment. Before, you know, there's always this fear, but I haven't got it. So yeah, and I'm okay. And like I said, and it's just about building now. I will get it. And I mean, I've already brought some in a little bit, and then did a little bit of commission work that turned out to be better than they thought it was going to be. So they've recommissioned me, and then I'm going to start getting paid in the next 2 weeks, which was confirmed yesterday from one of the companies I'm now working with. So it's all going the right way. And I guess it's a case of just believing, and that's where I am at the moment. And I'm kind of quite interested now that I've cleared that fear. Where am I going to go with my relationship? Because it's changed. I just haven't quite worked out what that change is yet.
Thank you, Tim. That reminds me actually of very quickly something that's at the end of last year. I was busy spending all my savings like it was going out of fashion. And then suddenly I got into real fear that I was going to run out, and I needed to get a job really fast. And I was interviewed for 3 jobs, and then the one I got was the one with the NHS, which has been about the only thing that's been, if I'd got the other jobs, I'd have had no job. So I kind of, it was a real, like you say about the trust, I was like, wow, money had my back there. I don't love the job, but it's taught me loads, and it caught me. It was like a safety blanket. So, Gail, are you feeling like you'd like to share with us?
I feel like my relationship to money has a lot to do with my feelings, or in the past, my feelings of low self-worth. That just having difficulty putting a price on my products, for example, or asking enough, asking for enough money. I have a poverty consciousness that is really got stuck in there. I'm no longer actively working, so not getting paid at any rate. I have a pension that comes in, and so my relationship to money has been it's been kind of not very dynamic. I'm sort of in between stages, and I'm kind of letting things see where things go. I haven't been very much affected by the COVID situation. I still get my pension, and I have a savings with my husband, and may come into some money for some design work that I've done in the past, and will possibly be coming into the market next year. This is all very unsure, and yeah, I don't know if I can say much that. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I haven't really confronted my my relationship, my fear of not having money. It's like it's still in a closed closet. I haven't really opened it up and said, okay, I trust that the universe has my back. I'm let go of that fear. I'm not there yet. I'm just not there. So, but I'm willing to wait and see. Maybe that doesn't say much, but yeah, I just kind of I'm in a waiting stage really. But I do believe that the work around the book, the consciousness of money, there's a lot there, and I'm going to go at it again. Hopefully in a new way. I will say one thing though, that a while back I let go of my cell phone. I quit my service on that, and which means that I don't have mobile pay anymore, which I've always been a avid. I disliked it from the minute it came out. I thought, oh, we're on a slide going nowhere. And so now I have money in my purse all the time, and I have lots of it, and I love it. It's just a really different feeling. Cash, I love cash, and I haven't had that experience before. But I flashed on it, Hella, when you said you wanted to feel the money. That yeah, I know that feeling. That's a good feeling. Yeah, so I'm really loving that actually. It's my most tangible relationship with money that I can report here. I must say, yeah, loving it. Cash.
Yeah, cash. And you touched on something else there, Gail, as well, that you know, it's probably taken many lifetimes for us to get into this place that we're in about money. And so it takes quite a lot of work, like Tim's saying he relaxes around it every day. Susan relaxes around it every day. John's doing the work. It is that kind of, it's repetition to break down all that old stuff. I'm sure Peter can speak a little bit to that.
Yeah, that's a good segue. I'll try and keep it brief. My journey with money kind of had some similar points with everyone. My family of origin I joked that we were that poor that we put out mice traps with cards on them. Could you please bring your own cheese? That experience in me created one single desire as a young child, and that was I wanted to be rich. I've been rich in terms of finance 3 times. I've made and lost 3 fortunes. Fortunes to me. So I've had the highs of business. I've taken businesses from a kitchen table to Australia-wide. And I've also had the lows of business where I've lost $2 million in one day. I've had penthouses and sports cars and toys, and I've had a couple of brief periods of being homeless. So my journey with money has been one of my biggest spiritual teachers, because in the good and the bad and the ugly of that journey, I've learnt to trust myself and trust the universe. Sometimes even when it doesn't look really good. 3 years ago, I became friends with Sarah. I became a client with her. I am actually working with Sarah some of the time. and you know, the journey of both creating a good relationship with money and I'll just put it bluntly, transforming the gunky bits is an ongoing journey. You know, some days a diamond, some days a stone, but it's for me, and I'm not saying everyone has to have the same experience, but for me, it's actually a spiritual journey of creating a really vibrant relationship with money, because I'm very blessed in my life. If you took away every money I have, I still think I'm a rich person. I have health, I have good relationships, I have shelter, food, you know, I have enough books to read, not enough time to read them. So, you know, I have a good life. But for me, money and both manifesting it and dealing with the timing of that, and dealing with the expansion and the contraction in my own emotions in that, and coming to a place of being calm and grounded most of the time is good. So, you know, and I'm very happy to be in the conversation. Thank you.
So Sarah, we're just going to talk a little bit about Sarah. And my experience of Sarah was last March, sat in this first job I'd had in nearly 20 years, bored out of my brain, but I had access to YouTube all day, every day, and I just used to sit there with my headphones on, and I used to listen to these summits, and there was something called a Conscious Business Summit, and there were lots and lots of North American voices, and suddenly, siren-like, out of this sea of North American voices came Sarah's voice. And I just kind of sat up and listened, and she told her story about channeling the book, and it just really kind of opened something up to me. I'd never thought that there was this possibility that money could be love, and that it was unlimited, and that it was there for the taking for us to enjoy. And I too, like Susan, I immediately clicked on the links, and then I found out about the Consciousness of Money, and I did that in the dead of night last April because she was running it in Australian time, and I used to lie in my bed. And then I went on 2 retreats with her last year, and met a lot of these lovely people who are here. And when I met John, I bought him the book, because I just think that Sarah and other people who are doing this work are really onto something. And I think that the way we have perceived money for so long has been really limiting, and we're living in a limitless universe with limited principles. And you know, when we were doing that little meditation earlier, and I was talking about connecting to the cosmos, you know, we look out into that sky, and we're only seeing a fraction of what's out there. To think that all we have is what we're experiencing today is just bonkers. It doesn't make any sense on any logical level. So yeah, bring it in. I'm going to play a little transformance. Sarah works with a composer called Gary Malkin, who's an American, and they have created these things called transformances, which is a transformative performance. And both of them, when they were recording them, were being channeled. They did them in pretty much one take, I think, just about every one of those transformances. She says that they did a little bit of tidying up of some of the audio afterwards, but basically this is what came to them. They just went into a recording studio. John, let me know if there's anything wrong with this, please. Again, I suggest you shut your eyes.
Why are you so afraid of me? Don't you realize how much of me there is for you? Don't you realize how freely I give myself to you in every moment? Don't you realize how connected we are, you and I? I want to ask you to open up your heart and to let me in, to let go of the fear and the worry and the endless feeling that there's never enough and there never will be. I want you to open up to me, to get to know me, to welcome me into your life. I want you to enjoy me. I want you to feel the freedom that I can give you. I want you to experience the creativity, the expansiveness, the pleasure, the joy that you can share when you allow yourself to experience me. Money, abundance, prosperity, generosity, I want you to allow yourself to come alive. So no more fear, no more keeping yourself small. Love money. Money loves you.
Wow. Anybody want to comment at all on their experience just then? It's quite intense for me.
I'll make a quick comment. And one of the biggest things that comes out for me has come out of working with Sarah is that instead of money being something out here that I'm chasing, that's going to be achieved at this point or that point, or this business or whatever it is, money's now actually becoming something internal that's actually part of me, if that makes sense. It's like a livingness inside me, and it's not separate from me anymore. And that actually came from listening to that particular transformation multiple times. Thanks.
I was feeling it all over me. I was tingling. It was really quite profound, actually. I didn't expect I would. But yeah, money was all around me. It was lovely. Thank you, Money. John, was there something?
Yeah, there's a theme that seems to have come out of a few things that people have shared, and without naming names. I mean, especially that idea that's come out that it's very clear that money is not the notes and coins. Money is an energy, and the notes and the coins or the numbers or any of those things just represent that flow of energy. That we can connect to it through that, but it is an invisible thing there. And there's an exercise that Emma and I did a few weeks ago, which was called the spiritual laundering of money. And it's not really part of our plan, but it just, from what everyone said, it felt like it would be a really useful and interesting thing to do.
So we're all going to need something, a note. I need to go and grab a note from somewhere, or a coin if you don't have a note to hand. Anything. We will reconvene in a few seconds. It is from Brenda Wilder. It's one of her little. There are practices in this book, so it's called Laundering Money the Spiritual Way. And a little preamble. So as people spend money, they consciously or subconsciously harbour the fear that the money that they're spending could be the last they will ever have. Don't they, Tim? The energy around the money becomes charged with fear. Considering how many hands money passes through and how much fear it picks up along the way, it's no wonder money can seem scarce in so many lives. Who wants to handle all that fearful negative energy? But what if money felt good? One way to make money feel good is to clean it. The next exercise is a cleaning tool, and it requires a quiet, private place and a £5 note, anything, doesn't matter, whatever we've all got. So we're going to pick up the banknote and hold it between our hands. Close our eyes and collect our thoughts. And we're just going to bring our attention up to our crown chakra again. And we're going to open that crown chakra, and we're just going to invite in the cleanest, the brightest, the most loving energy that we can find. And we're going to channel it down through our crown chakra, down through our brain, our eyes, our nose, our mouth, our throat, our hearts, and down through our arms and into our hands, and just really consciously bringing love into the money that's in our hands. Inviting the energy of love, so that when we spend this money, it's spent on a current of love and light. See it as a gift that we're offering to the next person who handles this money. Just keep sending that love. Remember that energy needs to flow. So as much as we need to receive money, we need to spend money. We need to let it flow across humanity from one person to the next on this current of love and light. Just welcoming that energy. Oh, we're just softly coming back together now. So does anybody else have anything else that they would like to say before we... Hella, how has the... I am going to invite you just because we haven't heard much from you.
Well, I do feel a shift in my energy field. It's a new concept to me, like working with money, working on my relationship with money. It's a new thing to me and I love it. I think I ordered this book. I will. And I really feel the calling to keep working on this. I love it. Thank you so much for this meeting.
You're very welcome. We'll be making a recording and we'll send it to you. And I don't know if you picked up the links and things from the meetup group, but you can go and have a little wander around Sarah's website, which is full of all sorts of gorgeous things. And yeah, John, always feel free to stay in touch with me and John, because we're sort of, Sarah's in Australia, so it's all the other side of the world and time zones are weird, but we're very much here and supporting people on their journey, because we also are very passionate, John and I in our business are very passionate about people working in groups, because the group energy is very powerful and very supportive. And when we're standing up for something that is quite challenging to some people, if we have, if we've got each other's backs, then we're just a stronger force. So yeah, if you want to know more, and we can connect outside of this group, that would be
Thank
great.
you.
Okay, anybody else got anything more they'd like to? In that case, I'm going to, but this is a little prayer, for want of a better word. It's an invocation, I suppose, to money. Universal divine source, we take this time to open ourselves and our lives to your abundance. The abundance that flows freely through this honourable universe. The abundance that is for the many, not just the few. The abundance that is our birthright as divine beings on the path towards enlightenment. Help us to learn that money is not separate from us, but is part of you, as we are part of you, and you are part of us. Help us to learn that money is an integral part of our spiritual lesson learning. Help us to learn that money is not ours to control. Teach us to begin to change our attitude towards money. Teach us to see money as energy that can be transformed into love, so that each pound we send out into the world flows from us on a current of love and light. So that each pound we send out into the world can touch another person with love. As we go forth each day, help us to open our hearts and our minds to the truth that we really can change our concept of money. From the negative ideas we may have had in the past, into the concept that money truly is love. For this and for all the abundance you bring into our lives each and every day, we are deeply grateful. So be it. And so be it. And so be it. Okay, guys. Well, thank you very, very much for your time. It's lovely to have you all here.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thanks, Emma. Thanks, Johnny.
No, you're welcome. And keep going. It's as they say in Sanskrit, jap. It means repeat. Repeat, repeat, repeat.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Catch up with you all
See you
soon.
guys.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Good to see you all.